since October, I haven't been able to be consistently here each week, and so our segment of the Hot Take Hotel kind of took a hiatus for a bit. But Josh, it's going to make its triumphant return this morning. So
you have been holding on to this one for a long, long time. So
I have.
I'm excited to. I'm excited to see what it is. The anticipation is killing me.
All right. So let me ask you this: when we talk greatness, when it comes to a city and the sports involved in that city, for both of you, what would your definition of greatness be for a city when it comes to their sports teams?
So my definition, I guess you'd almost have to go with championships across multiple sports, or I mean, that's kind of the way that I would probably look at it. I'm trying to think of some other ways. I mean, there's obviously great places to watch games and history and stuff like that, but I would say, yeah, the number of championships.
Okay. Ryan, anything different than that, or do you agree? What do you think?
It's definitely either the number of championships or the most consistent winning across the board of each sports team.
Okay. So let me ask you that. You don't have to give me what in your opinion is the top, but for each of you, what are your top 2 or 3 sports cities in the United States?
Ooh, man. You're coming in hot early. Wow. Ryan, if you have them, go ahead. I got to try to think of this for a little bit. I mean, I know I told you to go, but I hate to say this one, but you have to put Boston in there.
Okay.
I don't like, their fans or anything, but man, just look at the number of championships they've had. I think Chicago is probably up there. No, I mean, the Bears they run the city of 5 million people. Everybody loves the Bears. You obviously have the Cubs, and the Blackhawks have had, they're an original 6 team. They've had a lot of not recent success, but they did win a couple championships a decade ago. And then there's the White Sox. But just off the top of my head, before really thinking, I would say Boston and Chicago are 2 that are up there.
Okay.
2 that come to my mind. One city I've been to, and I think it's how they are as a city, not so much the fans themselves, is Philadelphia.
Okay.
A lot of great, places to watch, and just, dominant winning over, the past probably 20 years or so. And then the second one I would say is probably Dallas. Haven't been great over the last probably couple years or decades, but used to be one of the top premier winning cities.
Okay. Well, you guys are kind of feeding into my hot take. So my hot take today, checking into the Hot Take Hotel, the most overrated sports city by a considerable margin, even though if you were to ask the national media, it would be considered the mecca of professional sports, and this is what all professional sports cities aspire to be. But checking into the hotel today, the most overrated professional sports, and you can even throw in college sports into this, in the United States of America is New York City. New York is the most overblown, overhyped professional sports city that has ever been. Like, we're taking the Dallas Cowboys level of the professional media blowing smoke to epic proportions when we talk about New York. So let's start with this. Let's say modern era. We can go all the way back to 1980, or we can start at 2000, whatever you'd like. So the last time any professional sports team, now, mind you, you have New York because we're going to include the Nets and the Devils, and yeah, I know it's New Jersey, but half of them play in New York, and then half of the New York teams don't play in New York. So they have 9 professional sports franchises. 9. Josh, how many does Chicago have? You have the Cubs, you have the White Sox, you have the Bears, you have the Blackhawks, you have the Bulls. That's 5, right?
Yep.
Philly has the Sixers, the Flyers, the Eagles.
Phillies.
and the Phillies.
4.
So they have 4, right? Did I miss anybody there?
Nope.
Okay. And then you have L.A. You've got the Lakers. You've got the Clippers. You've got the Dodgers. You've got the Rams.
Chargers.
The Kings.
Kings.
The Kings. Now, see, when I did this, I didn't include the Chargers because they were so new.
Yeah.
Like, literally, the last 2 years? Is that right?
Yeah.
It's pretty
Yeah.
close.
Three. Yeah. Whenever they built that stadium, so.
And the Angels, I mean, they're it's so recent. So we're gonna go L.A. What do we say? Lakers, Clippers, Rams, Kings, Dodgers.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Missing anybody there? So there's 5 there. Compared to the 9 that you have in New York. Well, let's start with this. So the last time a team based in New York won a championship, you know when it was, or do you know who it was?
Well, it's got to be the Yankees because I think they're the only one.
Is it are you including the football teams?
Yes. Yeah, NFL.
Would it be the Giants?
It would be the Giants in 2011. It was played in 2012, but
Okay.
yeah. So the last time a championship was won by a team in New York was the 2011 season, technically won in 2012. Compare that, Boston 2024 with the Celtics, L.A. 2021 with the Rams. You can even throw in San Francisco into this. They had the Warriors, and then you've got the Giants and the Niners. The Warriors in 2022. Chicago's got the Cubs in 2016, and then Philly has the Eagles 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So 23, 24, whatever that might have been. So we'll just go since 2000, and then we're going to go back even further. Since 2000, New York has a total of 5 championships. Nope, I lied. Yeah, 5 championships. And this is really getting out there because you got to throw in the Jersey Devils. But 2000, 2003, the Devils won. 2007, the Giants. 2009, the Yankees. 2011, the Giants. That's 5 championships. Since 2000, Boston has 13 championships. That's basically all the Celtics and the Patriots.
The Bruins do have at least one.
Yeah.
I know that.
LA has 10 since 2000. Even San Francisco, that didn't come to any of the 3 of our mind as, a mecca of professional sports. Since 2000, the Bay Area has 7.
Yeah.
So they have more than New York. And then, you want to throw in, because nowadays everybody focuses on the NFL and then looks at everything else. But let's throw the NBA out there. And we'll even go back to 1980 for this. Okay? Since 1980, do you know how many combined championships the Knicks and the Nets have?
0.
0.
That'll be 0.
That would be none. And don't forget, this is the second largest sport. If we're being honest, back in the 80s and the 90s, it was the biggest sport in the United States. The Knicks and Nets have combined for 0 championships. The Lakers, since 1980, by themselves, have 11. The Bulls, thank you, Michael Jordan, have 6. The Celtics have 5. The San Antonio Spurs, were you going to say San Antonio for a sports mecca, have 5. And Golden State has 4.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. So you've got that. Now, when you also look at, because I know Scott's listening to this and he's going, Yankees, 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 Yankees. Yeah, that's cute, Scott. Since 1980, the Yankees have 5 titles. But that's from 1980 to 2000. You know how many titles they have since the year 2000?
1.
Yes. 1. The vaunted Yankees, who year in and year out, up until the last couple of years, had the highest payroll in Major League Baseball. And they've eked out a staggering 1 World Series championship. But hey, it's the vaunted New York market. And you know, the thing that you have to look at, and this is the reason that everything gets magnified the way that it is, and this narrative gets started by the talking heads. So you've got New York is the largest market per capita. You know, you've got millions of people crammed onto those islands and boroughs in New York. It gets the most exposure. It just does. The lead of SportsCenter, if the Knicks win a regular season game, probably would be almost as high as like a college national championship being won. Well, hey, the Knicks won, and oh, by the way, so-and-so won the national championship. But back to the Knicks, what are they going to do with Karl Anthony Towns? Nobody cares. There's only been a total of 5 championships won in New York, total, since 2000, and not one since 2012. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I ask that you turn your room keys back in because you are being evicted from the Hot Take Hotel because New York is the most overrated, overblown, overhyped. You just keep labeling it whatever you want because New York is a joke.
You know, I'm going to say I'm going to say that you believe it because I know it's true. I mean, the Florida Marlins, the Miami Marlins, have the same amount of World Series titles since 2000 than the New York Knicks. The Miami Heat have the New York Yankees. The Miami Heat have 3 more championships than the New York Knicks. The Florida Panthers have 2 more championships than the New York Rangers. The Indiana Pacers have more championship appearances than the New York Knicks. The Colts have just as many Super Bowl appearances as the Giants. Now, the Giants have 2 wins as opposed to 1 for the Colts, but I'm going to say that that's you believe it because I believe that it's true. And, well, I know you only speak truth on this show, Jason.
Okay.
Well, not only do I believe you believe it, but to Josh's point, I believe it because it's everything I've been taught since I was a little kid. New York is the biggest dumpster fire of any kind of thing you could ever see, and it is the most overblown, overhyped anything. Sports franchise, media, outlet, it doesn't matter. It is the most overhyped anything in the history of anything.
I 1,000,000% believe it because it's not an opinion, it is a fact. And Scott, I know you're listening because you just keep typing because I know he's all hot and bothered. Yankees, Yankees, Yankees. You have as many World Series titles in the last 26 years as the greatest team in baseball, the Chicago Cubs. So, and it only took us, 106 years to win one? It doesn't matter. We got the same amount now, baby. All right.
Yeah, I mean, there's good cities. I mean, I think we're probably missing some that don't have all 4 teams, right? Like,
Yeah.
you know, Pittsburgh. So they've got the Penguins, they've got the Steelers. Now the Pirates are terrible, but I mean, look at what the Steelers have done over the last couple decades. Look at what the Penguins have done. I mean, they've had arguably the greatest player of all time for the last 17 years, and right before that, they had Mario Lemieux, who is one of the top 10 greatest hockey players of all time. So, I mean, even like I said, even
What about a place
Miami,
like Houston even?
Yeah.
You got the Astros,
I mean, Houston,
you got the Rockets, you've got the Texans who are, are they along the Texans and the Panthers, did they come in the same, or the Jaguars?
The Panthers and the Jaguars came in at the same time.
And they would be, are they the newest, I know they're not new anymore, but they're the newest franchises, aren't they? Or were the Panthers after them?
Yes.
Panthers, Titans, before, after, same time?
Yeah, I mean, the Texans came from Houston as the Oilers, so I think those are the 2
Oh, that's
newest.
right, because the Oilers are who moved to Tennessee.
Yep.
It wasn't even expansion.
Yeah,
That's right.
you're
So the Texans and Jaguars would be the newest franchises, and I mean, you know, they've shown they're at least competitive. I mean, they've come into the league and been here a fraction of the time, and they're far better than the Jets.
Yeah, I think this is going to be their
I mean,
25th year. This coming year is going to be their 25th year in the league. So, yeah.
You know, this another underrated sports city that we haven't mentioned, Denver.
Yeah.
With the Avalanche being the best team in hockey right now and having a couple titles, the Nuggets with the title, and you know they've been extremely consistent over the last 20 years. The Broncos, you know, they had the titles with LA back to back and one with Peyton Manning, and even the Rockies. I know that they haven't been good the last handful of seasons, but it wasn't too long ago that they were playing in the World Series. So another underrated sports city that is better than New York.
Yeah, for sure. And then, like, well, we could keep throwing examples out there forever. So, anyway, New York, get off Tom's lawn. You are now officially evicted from the Hot Take Hotel. All right. So, obviously, and see, we don't play by the rules. We can say Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl, Super Bowl. We're not governed by those rules that because aren't there shows that they're technically not supposed to say Super Bowl because of advertisements and stuff like that.
It's the big game.
So can we all agree that that was the most mind-numbingly boring Super Bowl maybe ever? Now, I will say this in saying that. It was incredibly impressive to watch both defenses, and especially Seattle, but that's not why you tune in to watch that game. And let me double down. Not only was it mind-numbingly boring, the Patriots, this version of the Patriots, may have been the worst team to play. Sorry, excuse me, easy for me to say. They may be the worst team to play in the Super Bowl in my lifetime, at least. They are not good, and they're not close to being good. But you know, you can go back through their schedule and everything and what they took to get there. Now, playoffs are a little bit different, but I think that may have been the worst representative of the AFC or the NFC for that matter. But that might be the worst representative for one of the two conferences to ever play in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, that was an extremely boring game. I mean, Seattle, you have to look at it a couple ways. It was boring, but it was just complete domination by Seattle. They were the best team in the NFL all season long. They were one or two, for the most part, in the NFC playoff rankings all year. Now, they had slidden down to 5 because of the wild card, because of the strength of the Rams or the 49ers, that they were battling that out, as good as that division was. But you look at the path that the Patriots took, and a lot of times, and I'll say it with the Bears, when you finish last in the division, the NFL has made it so it can make it easier for you to turn it around because you play a last place schedule. And you're going to have your crossover division games, but then the other games are, if you finish fourth, you play fourth team from this division, and so on and so forth. Even looking at what the Patriots did, and you can only play who's on your schedule, and they beat the majority of the teams that were on their schedule. But the AFC at this year, they didn't have to go through a healthy Joe Burrow. They didn't have to go through a healthy Patrick Mahomes. When they played the Broncos looked like the best team in the AFC, and they were all season long until on the very last play of the game in the AFC divisional game, Bo Nix breaks his foot. So they didn't have to play the Broncos at full strength. They played them with a backup quarterback in a snow bowl that was maybe the worst coached big game of all time that Sean Payton had. So they were just running through these teams, and look at their division. Like, yes, you have Josh Allen in Buffalo, who is one of the best regular season quarterbacks of all time. But when it comes to the playoffs, Josh Allen does Josh Allen things, and he has over 9 years. And then you have the Dolphins and the Jets. I saw a stat, and I'm not going to get this absolutely correct, but of the 17 games that the Patriots played in the regular season, they either played a backup quarterback or a coach that had been fired in like 13 or 14 of those 17 games, which is unbelievable. Like, yeah, there were 6 or 7 coaches that were fired this year in the NFL, and the Patriots played all of them. So it was the easiest schedule that you could possibly have. And to your point, Jason, the Super Bowl just showed exactly how the Patriots were this season.
Yeah, I mean, all year, all you heard was, the Patriots and their cupcake of a schedule. And, like, I'll be the first one to admit it. I said last week that I thought this would be a closer game than people were expecting. I was wrong. And I was only believing that because with it being the Super Bowl, you're expecting and you're hoping for a good game that goes all the way down to the wire. And I was hoping we would get kind of a repeat of, the 2014 one. And in reality, we got a repeat of the 2013 one when Seattle won by 35 against the Broncos. But all year, all you heard was a cupcake schedule from the Patriots, and you saw it happen. Bo Nix, Bo Nix, outside of probably his broken ankle, probably leads the Broncos to a Super Bowl. And it doesn't help that, Drake May, the entire playoff run was god awful. He went behind a terrific defense who played lights out in the first, 3 games. And then they face, an actual offense and an actual other good defense. And they are forced to play in a different style. We can credit Drake May with one thing. He has the most passing yards in a fourth quarter of Super Bowl ever. He had 265 passing yards. Credit to him, but he also sucked in the rest of the game. But it was just a bad game overall. I enjoyed Seattle's dominance because growing up a Colts fan, all you hope is the Patriots lose every week, and it was amazing to see. But overall, just another year of a bad Super Bowl.
Yeah, and Josh, kind of to your point, depending where you finish, the NFL, like the perfect scenario for the NFL is that literally every single team is 9-8 or 8-9. That's where they want everybody, and so obviously things are going to pick up for the Patriots next year, and unless there is some serious retooling now that they play a first place schedule, things are going to look a lot different for them next year. Just one guy's opinion. I can still see the Seahawks being able to sustain what they have. Now, granted, it's just like anything else in professional sports. You've got to take into consideration what does the contract situation look like for a lot of these guys. Running back's name?
Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker, his contract is up. He becomes a free agent, I believe. Are they going to be willing to pony up the dough? It's an interesting dynamic because it will show you what they really think of his value because, over the years, probably last 10 to 15 years, the running back position has just been deemed expendable. We'll just go get another one. But then there have been places, the Colts being one with Jonathan Taylor, that have invested, and the Eagles with Saquon and guys like that. There are a few people who have been deemed very important to the franchise, but it's not happening league-wide like it used to. So it'll be interesting to see that. But, man, with a defense like that, they're going to be in the conversation for years to come, that's for sure. And then, like, Sam Darnold, he's got to be given his credit. Was he the reason you tuned in to watch the game? No. And was he the reason they won the game? No. But he's also the reason why they didn't lose, or he's one of the reasons. Like, he was exactly when you don't have a guy named Patrick Mahomes or Joe Burrow or a guy like that, Sam Darnold was exactly the guy you want. Go out there and don't be noticed. That's a great thing. You may not be doing a ton to help us, but you're not hurting us. Just stick to the game plan, keep it simple, and he did exactly that. And so I think he's got to be given a ton of credit as well.
He really does, and I think based on
Sorry, I've been on mute, fellas. Sorry about that.
but
Go ahead, Ryan.
Based on his entire year, it was almost like he was out to prove that Minnesota should have kept him, and that's the truth. Minnesota should have kept him, and to your point, Jason, the entire game he went out there and he did what he needed to do to just come home with a win, and he had been doing that all year. Some games, it was the first game he played against the Rams. He threw 4 picks, and then he slowly got better, and he developed each week, and it was almost it reminded me of what we say about Caleb Williams. He just got better each week, and each week he went out and developed more of a throwing style. He just got better each week, and then last week he did what he needed to do. He went out there and did his job, not to perfection by any means. I'm pretty sure he had a 50% completion rate. But he went out there, he threw a touchdown in the Super Bowl. He didn't get picked. He didn't fumble the ball, I think. I don't know. And he didn't take a lot of sacks, if any. And he went out there and he balled the way he needed to. And he's not the reason they won by any means. But he's also not the reason they lost.
And I think that's a huge testament to somebody, honestly.
Yeah, Sam Darnold over the last 2 years is 28-6. Well, I mean, and that's not including the playoffs, but he's 28-6 in the regular season as a starter. Going into that, before he went to Minnesota 2 years ago, he was 21 and let's see, 21-35 as a starter. And in the last 2 years, he's 28-6, and again with the Super Bowl championship. So, at times you have to be patient. Now, you can't. It's not just being patient with every single quarterback that's drafted in the first round, right? Like, you've seen that Justin Fields can't develop into a starting quarterback in the NFL. You've seen that Anthony Richardson cannot develop into a starting quarterback in the NFL. But if you look at some of the guys that have had success over the last couple of years with Sam Darnold, I mean, another point to your hot take hotel, Jason, his first 3 years were with the New York Jets. And he was 13-25 as the starter for the New York Jets. You look at Baker Mayfield. He struggled in Cleveland. Outside of 1 year, they let him go. He gets picked up by Sean McVay, and the Rams has a little bit of success, parlays that into a contract with the Tampa Bay Bucks, and now he's a top 10 to 12 quarterback in the NFL. So sometimes patience works out, but also you have to be with the right coach and the right coaching staff. Now, tell me if there's a bigger fraud of an award than the NFL Coach of the Year. Jason, and Ryan, who do you think who are the top 2 coaches in the NFL at this point in time, in your opinion?
Who are they? Like, overall, or are we talking just this season?
No, overall, in the last 15 years, let's just say, who have been, let's just call it, name the top 2 to 3 coaches that come to your mind that you would take for the Indianapolis Colts right now.
Over the last 15 years? Well, you have to go Andy Reid and Bill Belichick.
Yep. Those are 2. Anybody else you can think of that's always up there?
I know that people like to bang on them for lack of playoff success, but Mike Tomlin has to be up there. I mean, all they do is consistently win. Probably Sean McVay. He's been incredibly consistent. I mean, there's 3 right off the top of my head. Yeah.
So a couple more. I would say Kyle Shanahan.
Yep.
San Francisco.
Yep. He was going to be the next one. Yep.
Sean Payton. You would put up there. You would take over anybody that the Colts have. Do you want to know? Since 2000, let's take Andy Reid, Sean McVay, and Kyle Shanahan, because I think those are probably to me, the top 3 coaches in the NFL. Do you want to
Yeah.
know how many Coach of the Year awards they've won combined since 2000?
I'm going to guess it's ludicrous, and it's 1.
Ryan, you have a guess?
I think it's 1, and it was Andy Reid, wasn't it?
They've won 2. Sean McVay won in 2017. Andy Reid won in 2002. And Kyle Shanahan has not won a Coach of the Year award since 2000. So in 26 years, those 3 coaches have won it twice. Andy Reid has not won it since he's been coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Sean McVay won it in 2017, and they didn't win a Super Bowl in 2017. And Kyle Shanahan has not. Sean Payton has won it 1 time in 2006. So here's a list of guys that have won it since 2025. We'll go with that. Ron Rivera, fired. Jason Garrett, fired. Matt Nagy, fired. John Harbaugh, fired. But I would say that he has probably deserved more than the one that he's won. Kevin Stefanski for the Cleveland Browns has won it twice.
Yeah.
Brian Dable for the New York Giants is the only coach since 1990 that has won the NFL Coach of the Year and didn't have 10 wins in the season. You're telling me in 2022 that Andy Reid didn't coach a better season than Brian Dable? So, I mean, it's just an insane award that, the best coaches in the NFL don't win. So is it Andy Reid's fault that Patrick Mahomes is maybe the second best quarterback of all time? Well, I think he had something to do with that, didn't he? Is it Kyle Shanahan? Kyle Shanahan is taking guys like Brock Purdy, who was the last pick in the draft, and Mac Jones, who was a first-rounder cast off by New England, and winning 12 games every year. I mean, it's just insane to me that the NFL Coach of the Year. So that's going back to Mike Vrabel was the NFL Coach of the Year this year at 14-3, and I think we could all agree that he didn't do the best coaching job in the NFL.
Well, and I think part of that comes back to what we've already talked about. When you look at, and again, you can only play the people that are on your schedule. It's not his fault that, all the coaches got fired and they had either playing against backup quarterbacks or first-year quarterbacks or whatever it might be. When you look at their record in totality compared to what it has been the last few years, it is impressive what he did, but you can't ignore those other facts either. And so it really does take away from what on paper, just looking at the numbers, you'd be like, dang, that's impressive what he did. But when you start to really dissect it, talk to me this time next year, and if it's the same thing, then color me impressed. But I'll be the first guy, even though I don't bet that is not going to be repeated next year, what they were able to do this year. Like, I'm not afraid to say it. I don't even think this is a hot take. I don't think they make the playoffs next year.
I think they win 7 games.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to – I think I used up all of my hot takes with the Kansas City Chiefs this year, so I'm going to refrain from giving a hot take on the Patriots at this point in time, not looking at their schedule. I mean, I can pull it up in 2 seconds, but I wasn't super impressed, especially in the Super Bowl with Drake May. And Drake May had a great year, but I'm still taking Caleb Williams for my quarterback over Drake May. I just am. And a good longtime listener of the show, Andrew Stewart, he just sent me a text message that said the NFL Coach of the Year award is actually the "you did way better than anyone ever dreamed you could with this team" award. And
Yeah.
I would go one step further. I would say you did way better than Vegas thought you would do award. So
to that point, like, honestly, why don't they just call it the Most Improved award? It's the Most Improved.
I mean, that's basically what it is. And it's just it's a crazy award, and it's one of those awards where you kind of look at it like you would know this off the top of your head, Jason. How many MVPs did Michael Jordan have?
I don't know that off the top of my head.
but I mean,
There's no
he
reason
didn't win-
starting in
he didn't win 12.
1989. No, I was going to say and actually probably 1988 even. There's no reason that he shouldn't have been the league MVP every single season that he played. Every one.
So he's won 5, 1988, 91, 92, 96, and 98. Okay, so he wasn't the best player in the world in 1997 or 1997, 1993. Like, I mean,
Yeah,
So
exactly.
so it's basically like it's the Nikola Jokic stat as well. Like, you're telling me that Jokic won it 3 times, but that Joel Embiid was better than him, or were we just tired of giving the award to Nikola Jokic? Andy Reid could theoretically have won the Coach of the Year award about 7 times. But yeah, to your point, it's what Andrew said and what you said. Like, it should just be the team that improved the most from the last year, and only record-wise.
Yep.
We're only looking at the records. We're not looking at anything else. So,
Well, I
just,
wasn't on with you guys last week, and I'm sure you already talked about this, but I'm very curious. I'm assuming you discussed the whole Bill Belichick didn't get voted into the Hall of Fame.
Yep.
What were your guys' thoughts on that? I'm curious, since I wasn't here to hear them.
I mean, it's an absolute joke. It's just another reason that Hall of Fames are insane. Like I've always said about baseball, can you tell the story about the NFL without talking about Bill Belichick? And the answer is no. Bill Belichick has 6 Super Bowl championships?
7, I bet.
7. I know how many because Tom Brady won with Tampa Bay. I thought he had 7 Super Bowls.
Oh, okay.
I think Belichick's got 8 in total, because I think 2 was an assistant, and then 6
With New York,
with
right?
New York, and then,
Yeah.
Okay.
and then 6 with New England.
Okay.
Yeah, so 8 total, 6 as a head coach. And basically, I don't know if you guys heard Rodney Harrison. I think it was before the Super Bowl, talking to Tony Dungy. And he basically, I'm assuming Tony Dungy gets a vote in this or what not, but Rodney Harrison laid out all the facts, and he said, you got it wrong. And you don't typically see people calling other people out on the air, but he said, you got it wrong. And this is just, led by a lot of soft media and soft owners. Look, is there Deflategate? Sure. Is there the taping thing? Sure. But the fact that he's not a first ballot Hall of Famer just loses all credibility for the Hall of Fame.
And I totally agree with that. I can't stand the guy. I've never been able to. But, to your point, Josh, you can't tell the history and the story of the NFL, and especially of the 2000s, without Bill Belichick. And there are very few people. Now, I'm willing to have the argument just because his name isn't Peyton Manning, but there are very few people who wouldn't say that Tom Brady, at least as of right now, is the greatest quarterback to ever play the position in the history of the league. You did not put Bill Belichick into the Hall of Fame. And basically it's come out for 2 reasons, Deflategate and Spygate, right?
Yep.
Well, Tom Brady, by all metrics, and pretty much everybody's in agreement, is the greatest quarterback of all time. Guess what? He was around for both and had a hand in one of those. Mm-hmm. Are you going to put Tom Brady in the first ballot? Because if you don't, then they might as well close the building. It might as well not be a thing anymore. Like, to me, and that's the corner that they've painted themselves into. And I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to put this out there, because this is exactly what is going to happen. Actually, let me rewind. When is Tom Brady eligible for the Hall of Fame?
Next year?
It's either next year or the year after.
Because you just wait and see. The whole story will be, because let's just hope and pray that it is next year. They will put Tom Brady in. There will be no mention of the fact that Bill Belichick did not get in, because then what they do is it's going to be all this warm, fuzzy, huggy-feely, oh, look, the coach, the greatest coach and the greatest player of all time are going in together. Just blah, like, it's going to be the most sickening, because the NFL is going to make them paint that picture. They're going to tell ESPN and Fox Sports and anybody else that reports on this is the narrative that we want put out there. Don't talk about the negative, because then guess who else is going to get in with them? You know the answer to this. Robert Kraft. It's going to be all three. Oh, look, the dynasty's going in together. This is the most wonderful. Oh, shut up. Like, it's so ridiculous. Because, now answer this question for me. Why are people up in arms and questioning why Robert Kraft isn't in the Hall of Fame? All he does is own the team. Here, spend my money. That's what you do as an owner. Why is any owner in the Hall of Fame, unless, because there are owners who have driven change in the league, and if it's a change for the positive that has long-lasting ramifications for the good of the league, by all means, you deserve to be in. But what has Robert Kraft done besides get caught in massage parlors, number one, and then just write checks?
Well, I mean, I'm gonna disagree. I mean, he did hire Belichick. I mean, that was a pretty good move. He did do that. I mean, I get what you're saying. I mean, it's basically at this point in time, it's a good old boys club, and Bill Belichick is in it. So at this point in time, so Tom Brady's not eligible until 2028. So they're gonna. It. So I know. I was hoping the narrative street was correct there. But, it's just a lot of people like Tony Dungy. The Pro Football Hall of Fame has 50 people and 32 media representatives from each city. You know exactly who didn't put them in. I mean, the Colts got people didn't do it because Tony Dungy told them not to. It's just they're soft.
Okay, now let me say this. I can get behind that. Just some good old-fashioned bitter rivalry coming back up. Stick it to your rival. I can accept that. But why does somebody in Texas care? Why does somebody in Miami care? I love it, Colts. You should do it. That was your biggest rival. We'll show them one last dig against a rival. I can get behind that. But not if it keeps the guy out. Like, it's all the idiots. It's so ridiculous. Like, you... And again, I can't stand the guy. I'm secretly kind of giggling that he didn't get in. But my sports brain is like, this is quite possibly top 5 dumbest thing to ever happen in sports.
Bill Belichick received 39 votes, and he had to have 40 required to be in the Hall of Fame. So he missed it by a single vote. So 11 people didn't vote for him. And here's the thing, it's... I think a lot of people, if there was more transparency in it, and we're going to get into this in the second hour, but why wouldn't you televise the NBA draft lottery? No, they hold it in a secret room. Oh, there's going to be some writers in there, but they hold it in a secret room. The Hall of Fame voting process is on secret ballots that you don't have to disclose who you voted for. No, forget that. Have everybody up there in between, if you want to do it in between the conference championship and the Super Bowl, have it televised, made for TV event, and say, okay, John Smith from the Dallas Morning News, who are you voting for the Hall of Fame?
Because think about this, Josh, to that point, think about one of the most famous game shows of all time. You know what it was? The one with Howie Mandel, where literally all they did was open briefcases.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that had numbers. Exactly. That had numbers in it. So you don't think that there would be eyeballs tuning in, to your point, to, all right, like you said, John Smith from San Antonio, Texas. Who are you voting for? And he reveals
everybody. Dude,
Like,
that would be watched more than a playoff game.
because then you would have tickers over on the side. Okay, that's 2 votes for so and so. Oh man, the next 3 need to vote for Joe Blow from the Miami Dolphins. You know, like there would be intrigue and there would be suspense and all of these things like that.
Did you guys watch Squid Games?
I have
on
not.
Netflix?
I know what it is, but no, I never did watch it.
So yeah, at the end of each round that they play, they can stop the game at any point in time, but they have to go vote yes to stop or no to continue to go, and they walk up one by one and press a button. And there's intrigue, there's suspense, there's oh my gosh, what like this guy's and like do it so you have a blind draw. Who has to pick first, who has to pick last, and everybody in between. So it could come down to Tony Dungy, number 50. All right, man, Belichick's got 39. Are you pressing no or yes? Your call. But that's accountability in sports is non-existent. There is no accountability in sports, especially when it comes to the sports media, and that's what Dakich talks about all the time. And I know people love to hate on him. We don't, because 99.9% of the things he says are right or true when it comes to sports. And there is no accountability. There is no transparency. And if you can get a deal or no deal style Hall of Fame voting, literally everybody would watch that.
And it makes kind of back to because when I made the point about Robert Kraft, I was not saying like I disagree with owners being in. I just disagree with the fact that people were trying to put that on the same level of Belichick not getting in.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah,
he's an owner. If you want to put him in, cool. If he doesn't get in, cool. It really doesn't amount to anything. Yes, he signed the contract to hire Bill Belichick. Okay. And
yeah, no,
you know what I mean? But again, you want to put him in, I don't mind. But again, that should be, because then what you're going to start to see come out are all, is the Boston reporting base, are they going to be biased? Is the Chicago reporting base going to be biased towards their own people? Or are they going to be like, that guy that played for us, we loved him and he was a great player, but was he Hall of Fame level? I mean, again, we already know what the Colts media would do. If they wore a Colts jersey for 3 games, they're getting voted for because, as our good friend Coach Dakich says, we have the softest media in professional sports media. Plain and simple, period, at the end of the sentence. They never, ever ask a difficult question. They never probe. They never hold people's feet to the fire. It's all fluff and sunshine and rainbows to anything and everything that the Pacers and the Colts do. There's never pushback, ever. Ever. So what would they do? They wouldn't even be any fun to watch. Oh, yeah, they made the practice squad once, so I'm going to vote for them. Okay, cool.
That is the Colts. They're like, oh yeah, Dallas Clark. He was a great tight end, and everybody in Colts media would say, oh man, he was better than Gronkowski, guaranteed.
Yeah.
He's 100% in the Hall of Fame. So there's not as many owners in the Hall of Fame as there's not as many as I thought. I thought there would be just a ton of owners, but a lot of the owners that are in the Hall of Fame do make a lot of sense. So, I thought it would just be every Joe Smith that owned a team was a Hall of Famer. But, I mean, you have guys that basically either founded the league or have been owners for a long time. Guys like George Halas and Jerry Jones, Al Davis, Ralph Wilson, the Bills owner, Lamar Hunt, Chiefs owner, guys that founded the league and started the league. But this one kind of made me laugh. And again, go back to the credibility of the Hall of Fame. Bengals owner Paul Brown is a Hall of Famer.
Doesn't that go back, though, to his time because didn't he own the Browns? Or
he
his
owned the
family
Browns
did?
as well, yeah.
I think it goes back to that.
I mean, it does, but I think anybody that you would talk to, especially Bengals fans, would say that Paul Brown is the worst owner in the history of sports.
True.
And I think that you'd have a very compelling argument for that. The only other one that would rival that would be the Castellini family, who just happen to own the Reds. So, yeah,
Cincinnati sports fans are up against it, aren't they?
Down bad. They are down bad. But yeah, to me, just no transparency is insane. Like, at least with the MLB Hall of Fame, they share well, not everybody, but a lot of people share their ballots so you can call them out, or people find their ballots. But in the NFL, it's just kind of like, oh, well, this guy said he didn't vote for him, so he didn't vote for him, I guess. And it's the fact that he wasn't a first ballot Hall of Famer is really up there with the Barry Bonds not being in the Hall of Fame.
And you know what they should do with this NFL voting? Like, why are you capping people at 3? You can only vote for 3 people. There should be something in the bylaws that says if you make a mockery of the process, you will lose your voting privileges. Your votes for this year won't count. But let's say there's 15 guys on the ballot, and I think 6 should get in. I should be allowed to vote for 6 people. If I think there are 6 willing and deserving people that deserve to get in, I should be allowed to vote for that. Because, and I'm not saying this is a good excuse, but I know like this was talked about quite a bit when it came back to Belichick. There were probably a lot of these people that didn't vote for him, that there was nothing nefarious behind it. They're just like, hey, I really want these 3 in, and surely there's going to be enough people. It's Bill Belichick. Surely enough people are going to vote for him. So I think some of their own process got in the way too, which you as an entity, you as a program, whatever you want to call it, you should never be a roadblock to success. Like, get out of the way. But I'm assuming it's just like so many other things that there are now. Why do you do it that way? Well, because that's the way we've always done it, which is quite literally the worst reason you should continue to do things.
Yeah, and, you know, I wish somebody would have just come out, and it would have made me feel better. Like, somebody comes out that voted against Belichick and said, look, I know he was 1 vote short, and of the 11 that he didn't get, I was one of them. And here's why I don't believe that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. I believe he's a Hall of Famer, but I don't think he's a first ballot because of Deflategate and because of Spygate.
Stand on
He
it.
cheated the rules. He got caught. Am I going to vote for him next year? Absolutely I am. But he didn't deserve the honor of being a first ballot Hall of Famer in my mind. Boom. Done. It's over. Like, say, I'm voting for him next year, but I didn't this year because of these 2 cheating allegations. He didn't deserve to be on the first ballot. And guess what? Tom Brady, also, I'm not voting for him on the first ballot because of the same reasons I didn't vote for Belichick. Like, just take some accountability, and at least people could be like, okay, well, I don't agree with it, but I get his logic.
We're getting ready to go to break here, and I'm going to leave you with this. So, Bill Belichick, accused and found at least more than 50% guilty of two different cheating scandals. Cheating. Is it great? Absolutely not. But cheating. I'm going to leave you with one name. Ray Lewis. Beyond the Game brought to you by Batesville Chrysler Dodge Jeep, Gillenhow Funeral Home, Acra Automotive, Decatur County Recycling, Walters Tire, Hamilton Tebby Law Office, and Buy Right Auto. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Beyond the Game. Beyond the Game brought to you by Batesville Chrysler Dodge Jeep, Gillenhow Funeral Home, Acra Automotive, Decatur County Recycling, Walters Tire, Hamilton Tebby Law Office, and By-Rite Auto. Ryan Higginbotham, Jason Simpson live here in studio. Birthday boy Josh Lee joining us live via satellite from parts unknown. So, Josh, you would ask a question through our text chain about wanting to talk about something on the show, but then Tom said to wait until I was here. Do you remember exactly what that was?
I will scroll back through it, but I do want to talk about this because, this just came across the wire here a couple days ago, and it's NBA related, and it hits close to home as well, home being Indiana. I'm assuming you guys saw what the NBA decided to do over the last 48 hours to the Utah Jazz and the Indiana Pacers.
I did not.
So the Utah Jazz got fined $500,000, and the Indiana Pacers got fined $100,000 for not playing players that they were deemed healthy, and for tanking. Adam Silver fined the Utah Jazz $500,000 and the Indiana Pacers $100,000 for, quote, overt behavior like this that prioritizes draft position over winning and undermines the foundation of NBA competition. So we will respond accordingly to any further actions that compromise the integrity of our games. The Utah Jazz, the game in question, were against the Orlando Magic on February 7th, a 120-117 loss. And the Miami Heat game on February 9th, a 115-111 win. And the Indiana Pacers got fined for sitting Pascal Siakam when they said he was healthy against the Utah Jazz. Pascal Siakam is 24th in the NBA in minutes played this year. The Indiana Pacers are 5-5 in their last 10 games. The Utah Jazz are 18 the Utah Jazz are 18-38 overall on the season, and those two teams get fined while the Sacramento Kings have lost 10 straight games, and they are 12-44 on the season. A handful of years ago, the Philadelphia 76ers went 9-73 and did not get fined in those seasons. If the Indiana Pacers are tanking and playing Pascal Siakam the 24th most minutes in the NBA, they are doing a hell of a bad time trying to tank to get that first overall pick. So the NBA shockingly picking and choosing where and who they punish, because I feel like LeBron James came out and said, at this day and age, at my age, I will not be playing in back-to-back games, so don't ask me the question anymore. See Adam Silver fining the Los Angeles Lakers? I didn't think so. So just another reason to not tune into the NBA, and I don't know why anybody would watch that product at this point in time.
Please make it make sense to me that you can levy this fine against a team for being non-competitive in a game they won.
Yeah.
How is that even in the scope and realm of possibility? They won the game. How? I am befuddled by this. I don't understand how they have a leg to stand on with that. And yes, I know that the NBA does not like load management. Has it stopped teams from practicing load management?
No, not at all.
Exactly.
Not at all.
And so why in the world? Because like you said, Pascal is obviously the Pacers' best player this year. He's an NBA All-Star, for crying out loud. He doesn't deserve a night off. But no, simply because of their overall record. Let's not dive into the fact that literally I think every single person that has worn a Pacers uniform this year has missed time because of a legitimate injury. Every single player that they have seems to get injured this year. Never mind that fact. Let's not dig into the fact that their cornerstone franchise player, who is an NBA All-Star, who statistically is probably the best point guard in the NBA, played for Team USA in the Olympics, is missing the entire season because of a torn Achilles. Let's not take that into consideration. No. Like you said, let's just cherry pick and choose the teams that we want to find because we feel like, we don't know, we feel like that they are tanking, and so we're going to take a stand, and we are going to make it so no other franchise will do this in the future. Get out of here with that.
Yeah, the Pacers have won back-to-back games. They beat the New York Knicks at New York 137-134.
They better start trying, by golly.
Were the New York Knicks tanking at that point in time? Because they're 34-20, but they lost to the Pacers at home. And here's the thing, like, you can say they were tanking this game or they tanked this game or whatever. You can cherry pick games. Don't get me wrong. I don't think again, remember a few years ago when the San Antonio Spurs sat all 5 of their starters for load management? Mm-hmm. They didn't get fined for that. Like, is it just because because the NBA has done the draft lottery in such a ridiculously poor way? They're sitting here saying, like, hey, remember last year when the Mavericks traded away Luka Doncic, you can say it. I can't say it real well. Sorry. There you go. To the Lakers because they needed a star. Oh, yeah, we gave them the first pick. Remember when the Spurs moved up to the number 2 overall pick? Remember when the 76ers leapfrogged and moved up to the 3rd overall pick? So, like, tanking doesn't matter. They've leveled the playing field when it comes to your opportunity to win the draft lottery. So it doesn't matter. And what is the difference between you're sitting here saying, well, in this game, Pascal Siakam should have played, regardless of if you won or lost, that he should have played. It makes no, like, so are you going to go through every single NBA team at this point in time and say, well, I know that Domantas Sabonis was a little under the weather. He really only had 101.4 temperature, not 102.6, which is what we say it has to be for him to sit out. And he didn't play, so we're going to fine you. Like, that's how ridiculous it is.
The NBA is just going to take the job out of the hands of the coaches in making lineups. The league itself will make the lineups and rotations. That's just what we're going to do.
Yeah, again, they're not the 2 worst teams in the NBA.
Now, I will say this, when it comes to Utah, though, to this point, to kind of to the point of being fine. Now, and I will go ahead and be 100% transparent. Because the Pacers are no good this year, shows what a true fan I am, Mike Woodson. I don't know if the Pacers do this or not, but I just read an article yesterday before you gave me this new information. The Jazz, like it was being talked about, the Jazz would purposefully sit all 5 starters the entire 4th quarter in games because they were actively trying to lose games.
They did that what was it, last week, and that's why they got fined?
When you're going to be that blatant about it, you deserve something to happen. But and again, maybe I don't see the Pacers doing that. But then again, I just me. But like basing that fine off of one player is absolutely asinine.
Yeah, the Pacers played against the Knicks, played a full 48-minute game, and then went into overtime. Pascal Siakam played 37 minutes and had 30 points. They have to play the next night in a back-to-back just across the bridge in Brooklyn. No doubt you're going to sit the dude. What do you mean? Everybody sits. And I don't understand it. It's you have the only one that didn't make a whole lot of sense was TJ McConnell. But TJ all year has been dealing with an injury. You're going to sit 4 or 5 dudes on the back-to-back. It's what happens in the NBA now. Why is it a problem that the Pacers are doing it?
Here's what the NBA said about it. The Pacers violated the player participation policy against the Jazz on February 3rd. A league investigation found that star Pascal Siakam and 2 other Pacers players who sat out the game, and I quote, could have played under the medical standard in the policy, including by playing reduced minutes. Alternatively, the team could have held the players out of other games in a way that would have better prompted compliance with the policy. What? So now a league investigation is going to say if you're hurt or not? All right. That's the precedent that you want to set. Okay, like, you have team doctors for a reason. How can you put a policy in place that say, well, you didn't play this time, but you could have sat him out a different time to do this, and to, like, when LeBron James is literally coming out and saying, I'm not playing in back-to-backs. He said that. Like, what makes that any different?
And it's too bad that J.J. Redick...
What makes it different, it's LeBron James.
And I think he does have a little bit of Greg Popovich in him, like he wouldn't care to do it. But remember when Popovich would, in the newspaper or whatever they have to report, he would have DNP, coach's decision, old.
Yeah.
You know, like
Yes,
making a mockery of it. Tired, didn't feel like it. Like, I can see J.J. Redick doing that. Like, LeBron James, DNP, old. Do it. I love it. Because it's LeBron James. And to your point, Josh, they are not going to touch the golden child because, A, he'd flop, and B, they just don't do that.
And, you know, we had so Matt Miller, I know, and Suzanne, they tune into our show every week. So Matt's kind of sending me some text messages about this. So I'm bringing it up because he's 100% right. And it's things that we've said somewhat on this show before. The NBA doesn't want Utah, and they don't want the Pacers to get the number 1 pick.
1,000,000% correct.
They just don't. They don't. They don't like the Indiana Pacers ruining the NBA party for the New York Knicks, the Boston Celtics, the Miami Heat, the
Lakers.
Chicago Bulls, any other big market in the East that you want to say. And if the Pacers land 1, 2, or 3, or even 4, and get one of those top 4 players, the Pacers are going back to the NBA Finals next year if Tyrese Halliburton returns to at least 95% or 90% of what he was. And they don't want that. They want the Knicks in there to play against the Thunder or the Warriors or the Lakers. They don't want the Jazz. They proved that last year that they didn't want the Jazz to get the number 1 pick and get Cooper Flagg. And they're doing it again. So the only thing, like, if you want to find the NBA, if you want to find teams for sitting players that were healthy or could have played, I'm fine with that. But it has to be league-wide, and you can't just cherry-pick the Utah Jazz and the Indiana Pacers because you don't want them getting the number 1 pick. They've already proven that they'll rig the lottery, so just rig the freaking lottery like they do all the time. Adam Silver is the worst commissioner in the history of major professional sports.
Ooh, that is a bold statement.
I mean, what has Adam Silver done to grow the NBA? I mean, he took over after David Stern, who, yes, David Stern had Michael Jordan and he had Kobe Bryant and those stars like that. But Adam Silver has allowed the load management. He has allowed these types of trades that are a star going to a large market for basically nothing return. He's allowed for people to criticize and question whether the NBA draft lottery is working out how it should without being rigged. He's allowed the NBA and the coaches and the players to get into more politics, think what you want about it one way or the other. He's allowed for that stuff to happen. So all of these things that have happened under Adam Silver's watch has failed. And, we question Rob Manfred of the MLB a ton. But, I think the pitch clock was good for the game. I think a lot of things that he's actually done have been pretty solid for the game. We say Gary Bettman of the NHL. Well, Gary Bettman did bring in the Four Nations Cup last year instead of the All-Star game, and that was a smashing success. Everybody's trying to replicate that. Like, Adam Silver has made the NBA All-Star game, which I think is this week.
Yeah,
he's made
it's
that
this weekend, I believe.
Obsolete. Like, nobody cares about it. And that, like, you remember, Jason, I'm not even going to say going back to when you were a kid. 20 years ago, you were tuning into the NBA All-Star game. I know I was.
It was about the last time.
15 years ago.
Nah, I don't know about 15. It's been getting pretty bad for a while. But 20, yes. Like the end of Kobe and guys like that, yeah.
So he's allowed the stars to run the league, and that's one thing that Stern didn't do. He grew the game. Adam Silver has been a hugely net negative for the NBA.
And sitting here looking, I just pulled up the standings. So Sacramento right now is in the 1 seed. We'll say they're actually in the last seed. They're 12-44, followed by Washington at 14-39. And then New Orleans and the Pacers are both, New Orleans is 15-41. The Pacers are 15-40. And Brooklyn is 15-38. So you've got 5 teams that are 15 wins or fewer. And then the next would be Utah at 18, Dallas 19, Memphis 20. Would it surprise you at all? You got Dallas lurking out there. They're going to be in the lottery. They got Cooper Flagg last year. Going to shock you at all if their ping pong ball happens to pop up in the top 3 again this year to pair somebody with Cooper Flagg?
Cooper Flagg and A.J. DeBonce, are going to run Dallas, I swear.
I mean, in the 2019-2020 season, Steph Curry missed the majority of the season. The Warriors finished with a league worst 15-50 record. So they didn't play, without him they finished 15-50, I guess. But the Pacers
There were only
65
wins. Games.
I don't know if that was that shortened by COVID? I'm assuming.
No idea. I try to forget.
Yeah, I mean, COVID happened in March, so the season ended early. But did they get fined? They were 15-50. The Pacers are 15-40. I'm assuming they're going to win one of their next 30 games.
Sacramento's got 12 wins. Why aren't they getting fined?
The Sixers were 9-73 a couple years ago. So, when's the last time the Warriors were above 25 wins? They're not getting fined. I don't know. The NBA's a joke, and Matt Miller said it perfectly. Like, they don't want the Pacers to win the draft lottery or the Jazz, and but that's just the way it is, and that's why more and more people are not tuning into the NBA.
Well, and why do you think it's not related, but you could make the connection? Why do you think it's taken so long to get a team back to Seattle, even though as soon as they left, everybody's like, if there's ever going to be expansion, Seattle, 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 and now they are just going to get to that point where they're going to put a team back in Seattle, because we know there's going to be one in Vegas. We can't add just one, and so they're voting on expansion, I believe, this summer, and so it's going to be Seattle and Vegas. But make that connection to why would they not want to have Utah good again? Do they not remember Malone to Stockton? Like, the Jazz were one of the best teams in the NBA for at least a decade. And they had all these epic battles with the Bulls and Michael Jordan. They ran the West. I have no idea why, but it's that everything that they do, they say no, 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 but it lends itself to, yes, that's exactly what you want. Why would you not want the Pacers to be good in basketball-crazed Indiana when last year they go to the NBA Finals and ratings were through the roof with the Pacers in the finals? Did you not just watch what a college football team from the state of Indiana did to viewership across the nation. You don't think that an NBA franchise being successful in this state would help your ratings? Like, it ain't rocket science, and we know that we're always right on this show, but I'm not quite sure why they don't ask for our advice more.
Well, they should. I mean, the Pacers have been the second most consistent franchise in the NBA since 1990. Only the Spurs have more NBA playoff appearances. The Pacers have never picked number one. They've never picked, well, not never, but in the last 30 years, they haven't picked within the top five. Their best player has been hurt. Obi Toppin's been out basically all year. Aaron Nesmith missed 6 weeks. Andrew Nebhard missed 6 weeks. Like, yeah, you know what? You are 15-40, and guys are going to load manage. You've been allowed to load manage in the NBA over the last 10 years. Now it's just coming up because of one game. Again, the NBA is just a complete joke. Just a complete joke.
I'm not sure what your guys' opinion will be on this. We'll stick with the NBA for a minute. We all talked about how incredibly insane in the moment that the trade was that sent Luka Doncic to the Lakers. But I'm going to make this take. I'm even saying it right now, but definitely we'll even say in 3 years, we're going to look back and say, as ridiculous as that trade seemed on the surface, the Mavericks won that trade. When you're going to compare, but now this I get it. It goes back to the conspiracy theory of the lottery and everything. But in 3 years' time, I mean Luka Doncic is top 3 to 5 player offensively in the league. Cooper Flagg is going to be at least, I'm not going to say he's going to be as good, but he's going to be able to at least be in the conversation as being at the level of Doncic. Therefore, getting rid of we ought to just start calling him Oncic, because there is no D in Luka Oncic. I think Cooper Flagg is on a trajectory to be in that conversation. Therefore, Dallas ends up winning that trade.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at contracts and everything in it, I mean, it's pretty incredible what Cooper Flagg has done this year, and everybody kind of knew that he was going to have that sort of an impact in the NBA. So if you're talking, the current money that they're not paying Luka, yeah, I mean, I think in a couple of years you have to revisit that. It's crazy just to even think that that was much of an argument at that point in time. But the Mavericks then traded Anthony Davis for a couple players this year to the Wizards, and they got a couple more first-round picks. So you're going to have to add those 2 first-round picks into what they got along with Cooper Flagg. So, yeah, I mean, it could turn out to be that way.
And I knew there was something I wanted to ask you about. I'm glad you mentioned first-round picks. The Pacers at the trade deadline picked up most likely their center of the future. What remind me what his name is?
I can't say it perfectly. I know Josh can say it a whole lot better.
Zubac.
Yeah, okay.
Ivica Zubac.
Okay, so he is going to be their center of the future by all intents and purposes, right? Yep. I was a bit taken aback, though, when I saw that there were 2 first-round draft picks attached to this trade. Can you help it make sense and help me feel better about that fact?
Yeah, so Zubac, he's a completely different center than what the Pacers have had in the last 15 years. He's an incredible defensive center. He doesn't block a ton of shots, but he's always in the right position. He knows how to guard. He's great in the pick and roll. And he's been an all-NBA defensive first or second teamer the last couple years. He's on a great contract. He's a guy that the Pacers would never be able to sign just because of how, with Siakam and Halliburton making the max, you can re-sign your own players and go into the luxury tax, but you can't sign free agents to go in the luxury tax. He's on a perfect contract that the timeline fits right in with the Pacers' core. They weren't going to re-sign Bennedict Mathurin anyway. Bennedict Mathurin was going to be a restricted free agent at the end of the year, so all that meant was they could match any offer that was thrown his way. So if he was going to be thrown a $25 million a year offer, the Pacers weren't going to match that for Bennedict Mathurin. So the first-round picks that they sent was one, I believe, in 2029, and this current pick that's protected. So if they're in the top 4 or 10 through 30, the Pacers keep it. If it's 5 through 9, that goes over to the Clippers. And my opinion on that with the protection is, we all know there's a clear top 4 in this draft, and 5 through whatever, the end of the first round, is kind of a toss-up. And I didn't see anybody, and I'm assuming Kevin Pritchard felt the same way, that was going to come in via pick 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that was going to immediately supplant, let's say, Andrew Nebhard or Aaron Nesmith or Obi Toppin or anybody, any role player that the Pacers have. So if you can clearly get one of those top 4 guys, yes, they're going to come into the rotation. But to add a starting center with the caliber that Zubac is, he's maybe, and not Nikola Jokic category, the best offensive pick-and-roll center in the NBA. He's great at angles. He's a great passer. He's great at diving to the basket, which is going to just make more open shots for Siakam and Nebhard and Nesmith and Toppin and those guys. He's somebody that is averaging 11 rebounds a game. We just had a center in the last 10 years that if he got 11 rebounds in 2 games, we were excited. So I think it's a perfect fit for the Pacers. Hopefully they land in the top 4. But if not, they're going to be okay. They're adding Zubac to that team. And, they're just not going to have pick 5 through 9. So on the surface, when you're looking at it, you're like, man, what the hell? They're trading that much. But if you really look at future assets that they gave up, knowing that Isaiah Jackson wasn't going to be in the rotation a ton, knowing that Mathurin's contract was not going to get matched if it was, $20 million or greater, this looks like a great trade to me. And I think we're at the point where it's really hard to argue with anything that Kevin Pritchard does.
And Mathurin, it has never he's been fine, but he's never really turned into what they thought. Like, coming into this season, knowing Halliburton was out, everybody's like, this is when Mathurin's going to make that jump. But did he? No. I mean, it just like always, he would have his moments, but I think that's a perfect example of, something they were calling pre-agency for the Pacers, knowing that,
Yep.
If everybody returns healthy, then you're going to improve just because you get your roster back. And so then you get a guy like Zubac, and from everything that you described, Josh, it's going to be a seamless fit for the way that they want to play. And so I was just taken aback when I saw the first 2 rounders, and I had seen that about the top 4 and all this stuff. So it's only 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 that they would lose this year.
Yep.
And if they don't lose this year, then it becomes
2031.
2031. If they do lose it, do they lose another one, or it was only this one?
It would be this one in 2029.
Okay.
So if they do lose this pick, in the NBA, you can't trade first-rounders in successive years. So theoretically, they could trade 2027, 2029, 2031, and so on and so forth. So it does somewhat open them up if they do happen to lose this pick. If not, they lose 2028 and 2031 or something along those lines. So, look, Bennedict Mathurin is a good offensive player, but in the NBA, and you know this, Jason and Ryan, like, everybody essentially can score in the NBA.
Yeah.
Everybody can have a game where they score 25 or 30 points, and every team basically scores at least 100 points a game. So even bad teams have players that are scoring 20 points a game. And that was kind of what Matherin was this season. Like, he was a bad player. He was a great offensive player, but a horrible defensive player. And he was scoring because, well, there was nobody else to score. I mean, if you look at the Sacramento Kings, Zach LaVine's averaging 19 points a game. Like, does anybody think he's an awesome player? No. But Dennis Schroeder is averaging 13 points a game. So bad players in the NBA score. And bad teams have guys that are averaging 20 points a game. So I like the way you put it. I think this was a pre-agency move, not a free agency move. Yeah, I think I think it was a great move for him. And if it lands in the top 4, it's a grand slam.
And I don't know why it took me this long to think about this. So kind of going back to the point of the fact that the Pacers set Siakam for a game, and then they get fined for it. So what Adam Silver is doing, what he is saying by levying this fine against the Jazz and the Pacers, is he wants franchises to do the number one thing that they don't want to have happen, and that's fix games. Because what we would rather do is have Pascal Siakam on the floor and the Pacers still, because you're saying that they purposefully did that to lose on purpose, right? Like that is the definition of tanking. Sit guys so that you lose. Okay, so if you feel like we're doing that, then what you want us to do is still keep Siakam in, but hey, that, you know, you're going to have this shot, purposefully miss these next 3 shots. Or you could have gone and gotten that offensive rebound. Yeah, just pull your arm back just a little bit so the guy can go up and get it. Or foul in these situations. Like, you want them to fix the game. That's exactly the message they're sending, is it not?
Yeah, I mean, what's from keeping Rick Carlisle from saying, "Hey, Pascal, you can jog up and down the court, man. Like, we don't really care. If you have a wide open 3, why don't you take one dribble in and take a 20-foot 2-pointer?"
Yeah, when you're guarding your matchup, who happens to be a 42% three-point shooter, just happen to close out with your hands down. Like, don't even contest. Things like that.
Yeah. I mean, look, if the Pacers are tanking on purpose, you're going to have to show it to me, because I'm looking at the number of players that they've had to play this year because of injury. 3, 6. I mean, it's maybe 25. They played a dude named Ray J. Dennis, 13 games this year.
Yep.
A guy named Talon Peter, 24 games. He's played. Jeremiah Robinson Earl, I thought he was an actor. 17 games he's played this year. Micah Potter, 22 games.
Did you say Harry Potter?
Harry Potter has started 3 times for the Pacers.
That's impressive.
A guy named Garrison Matthews. Look, I pride myself on not knowing, or I don't know a lot about a lot of things, but I know a lot about sports. I will say that. There's a guy named Garrison Matthews who went to Lipscomb. That's a college, apparently. Yep. He started a game for the Pacers this year. He started for the Pacers this year. And that's not because they're tanking. That's because of injuries. So Garrison Matthews, that's a trivia question, played 15 games for the 2025-2026 Pacers. Garrison Matthews.
Like, you look at
His
that. His
parents didn't even know he played.
Okay. Anyway, hey, I think I remember what it was. You were asking a question about, was it top 3 games or sports moments or something like that?
Oh, okay. Yeah. So in watching basically the Fernando Mendoza touchdown over the last month on repeat, essentially, I think I wake up to it every morning. I got to thinking, like, what are the top 3 greatest college football plays of all time? And you can go down the line and you can say iconic plays, sure. Like, the tush push was an iconic play. the band was on the field was an iconic play. But in the grand scheme of the college football season, like, those games didn't make or break that college football season.
I've got three. It's easy. I got three already.
Okay. Yeah, go for it.
Obviously, Fernando.
Yep.
That is the single greatest play in the history of college football. Don't come at me, Purdue fans. Yes, I'm talking to you, Andrew Stewart. Number two, Vince Young in a national title game, his run.
Yep.
And then this one is a little out of left field, but, I mean, it did have a bearing on the season itself. And I don't even remember what they called it. There was a name for it. But in the Iron Bowl, the kick six, when Alabama missed the long field goal and Auburn ran it back for a touchdown to beat Alabama. Those would be my three.
Yeah, I mean, those are probably the three that I think the majority of people would say. I think you could look at, like, when Boise State played in the Fiesta Bowl against, I think it was Oklahoma, and they had the couple, the flea flicker and then the Statue of Liberty play, the big pass handoff for a touchdown. I mean, that was in the Fiesta Bowl, and it didn't go as far as winning them a national championship or anything, but there was still a massive bowl game with major implications. So yeah, I mean, those. So basically, getting into that topic of conversation is just another reason for me to say that Fernando Mendoza's run was the greatest play in college football history. And, the Vince Young one is up there, and the kick six. Yep, those are the three that I kind of thought as well. But it was just kind of, I know that Tom probably has a couple for Ohio State, like Maurice Clarett basically had a touchdown run that won him the national championship. I think it was like a 5-yard run or something. But, there are probably some other plays that were missing. But, yeah, those were the three that kind of stood out to me as well, Jason.
What about you, Ryan?
The first one that comes to my mind is obviously the kick six. Just iconic. If you watch, like, if you're, there's late night finds on YouTube, you're watching sports highlights from the 2010s or college football. That's usually one of the few plays that are highly mentioned. Recency bias, I don't even think it's a thing. Fernando Mendoza, obviously. One, if not the greatest play in college football history, one of.
And now, wait a minute, sorry, because we all agreed on that one. And I'm not saying that this has to be in the conversation of at least top 10 because of what ends up happening. What about Omar Cooper's touchdown against Penn State?
Boom.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, because now, granted, I understand IU probably still gets in. But we also know that the playoff committee doesn't like IU. They do now. I think now. Yeah, we bought ourselves a little extra juju from that committee.
Yeah.
But I think you've got to at least throw that in to top 10, don't you? Because of what the implications that happen down the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would be up there. Another one that I saw was. Tua threw a walk-off touchdown in the national championship game in overtime. So obviously that had the crazy implications. I mean, it's not the biggest, but how about Appalachian State blocking the kick against Michigan?
Yeah.
And running it back for a touchdown. Division II Appalachian State coming in and beating Michigan.
In the Big House.
Michigan was also on the receiving end of the blocked punt by Michigan State that ran it back in for a touchdown. Basically, as time expired, all they had to do was just get the punt off. There's 10 seconds left. So, again, I really just wanted to talk about Fernando Mendoza and that beautiful, beautiful play. And I'm looking at the commemorative Sports Illustrated edition of him diving in for the touchdown. I think I've worn at least a hat or a shirt every single day since I received it, and I finally stopped getting stuff in with the coffee mugs and the glasses and the can koozies and the license plate cover and all that stuff. I finally stopped getting stuff in, but that doesn't mean that down the line when I'm just thinking about being a national champion and my school winning a national championship, I'll probably buy more swag.
You know, more plays that come to my mind, and some of these plays like don't even have, you know, like huge implications on the season. One that comes to my mind, it was at the end of a year. It was bowl season. I don't know if you guys remember this name. Jadeveon Clowney had a huge hit. He played for South Carolina. He had a huge hit on a running back against Michigan that, gosh, I think it was the number one on SportsCenter for like 6 months in a row.
Yeah.
But, you know, plays like that just like live in my head of like the things you watch consistently. There's another one. It's by Auburn, and I think it's the week before the kick six, maybe. They were down against Georgia with like 30 seconds left. Quarterback throws up a Hail Mary. It gets tipped around, hits a couple players, and Auburn receiver catches it for a touchdown. It's not a walk-off touchdown, but there's 20 seconds left in the game. That one comes to mind. There's a lot of great college football moments that you can in just a span of about the last 15 years that really embrace what happens in college football. And I'll tell you what, you know, I know it today, you know, Valentine's Day, something that I think we can get into for the last, 15 or so minutes. We officially are on the cusp of baseball season. We have 6 days left until spring training has arrived. And let me tell you what, I'm going to enjoy this last year of baseball for the next couple years because I am not ready for another Dodgers World Series win.
Yeah, that's pretty much happening along with a lockout or a strike the following year. But spring training is coming. It's started. Spring training games start here in the next 10 days, and we'll have plenty of time to get into that, Ryan. But it's been a while since Jason's been here, so I do have to slide right back to college basketball.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that because I've got something, as I know. At least Andrew Stewart is listening, and who knows who else from the Stewart clan is listening. But this goes to his point. Hold on. This goes to his point where he was talking about the Coach of the Year in the NFL is basically the Most Improved award. Who did the best job with a bad team, and now they're not as bad, right? I am not. The comparison is not that I'm saying Braden Smith is bad. But last year, Braden Smith was an All-American, right? People said absolutely. He is the slam dunk preseason player of the year in college basketball, right? So if that's the case, and he wins it this year, then that award for National College Player of the Year is as big of a sham as the NFL Coach of the Year award is. Because let me ask you this: 21.2 points, 3.7 rebounds, 2.6 assists. You know who that is?
I think I do. Is it Lamar
the
Wilkerson?
Monster?
That's Lamar Wilkerson.
Oh, Lamar.
Braden Smith, very solid, 15.2 points per game, 3.7 rebounds per game, and where he comes out on top is he averages about 6 more assists. So you're going to give the guy the National Player of the Year because he averages 6 more assists?
Well, I don't think that he's going to win the National Player of the Year award this year. I think he's going to be first team All Big Ten. I mean, look, to me, I think Braden Smith should probably try to do more offensively than he does
Agreed.
For Purdue. I think, look, he's shooting 42% from three. To me, he's averaging 15 points a game. He needs to take over more. When you see Fletcher Loyer shoot 5 of 20 against Nebraska, and they came out with the win. They were up 22, went into overtime. They came out with the win. That's a huge win. That's a quad 1A win. Nebraska was a top 10 team at the time. They showed great resilience in losing that lead and then winning the game. But Fletcher Loyer going 5 of 20, at some point in time, Braden Smith needs to shoot the ball a little bit more. Now, he does have Trey Kaufman-Wren, who's averaging 12 and 9, shooting 57% from the field. Oscar Kloop, 10 and 7, averaging 73% from the field. But at some point in time, if Purdue wants to get where they want to go, and what everybody said they were preseason, and not just people in Indiana, but nationally, Braden Smith has to be more assertive in shooting the basketball. Now, I know he shot the most on Purdue's team. He's taken 275 shots this year. But he's only taken 105 threes and shooting 42%. To me, he needs to shoot the ball even more. I don't think that there's any way that anybody, even as IU biased as we are, Jason, can knock Braden Smith for the season or career he's had. I think he's Purdue's best point guard of all time. He's one of the best point guards in the Big Ten of all time. I mean, he is. He's played on a national champion runner-up. He's a
Wait. Can you say that again?
National champion runner-up.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
But I just think he needs to be more assertive offensively, and they need to rely less on Fletcher Lawyer and more on Braden Smith. But to your point, Lamar Wilkerson is at least making the case that he deserves to be first team All Big Ten, and on some of those other national awards because of what he has done, or basically a mid-major team wearing Indiana across their chest.
And you know, the thing is, I said that in jest, and I was joking. As people that listen to us know, as much as it pains you and I, Josh, as IU fans, we heap praise on Matt Painter and on Braden Smith all the time. My point in it was, season awards are not career awards. It shouldn't be what you did last year for the last 3 years. It should be what this season is. And, you know, when you look at, I mean, he's got 2 games of 41 points. That broken the IU scoring record twice in the same season. You know, it's just been impressive, again, to the point that you were making, because it is literally a mid-major team playing in the Big Ten and being led by a guy who came from what school in Florida was he at?
Lamar was from Sam Houston State.
Oh, Sam Houston
Texas.
State. Yeah, there it is. Okay.
They've got a couple guys from, Florida, Gulf Coast, and Elon and stuff like that.
I was going to say
Sam Houston State.
They played 2 dudes who played Power 4 basketball, Sam Alexis and Tucker DeVries.
Yep.
And I'm not convinced that I don't have as much athleticism as Tucker DeVries does.
It's sometimes pretty painful to watch.
But I digress. So, yeah, I was not. I was just trying to raise the ire of our Purdue friends, just because it's fun. Little brother always deserves that.
It is kind of crazy because at 20-4 on the season, Purdue, and 10-3 in the Big Ten, you sit there and you're like, well, they're leaving me wanting more. But you're also sitting there like, well, okay, they won at Alabama. They beat Texas Tech by 30. Yeah, they lost at home to Iowa State. Iowa State was a top 10 team. I mean, you can play poor games. They beat Auburn by 28, who Auburn's playing well. They've got wins at Wisconsin, against Iowa at home, at Nebraska, but they had that little 3-game blip in there with that UCLA at home against Illinois and at Indiana. But they're still 20-4, and we're talking about them like they're also Rans. And I don't know if that's because of how good Michigan is or how good Illinois is. I mean, Wisconsin just beat Michigan State last night by 20 points at Wisconsin. And Purdue beat Wisconsin at Wisconsin by 16. So I'm in no way writing them off.
No.
I just think there are 7 to 8 other teams that are better prepared for March than what Purdue is. And I think Braden Smith rises up in March. He has the last few years. I think Trey Kaufman-Renn rises up in March. Everything that we've seen from Oscar Kloop would say that, he can battle in March. You have Jack Benner from Brownstown that's playing big minutes and playing better than I expected him to play. Like, ultimate glue guy, hits big shots. It all comes down to Fletcher Loyer, like it has the last 3 years for Purdue. And Fletcher Loyer.
And if you're a Purdue fan, that's got to make you nervous. Woo.
I mean, I'm interested to see what Andrew's going to text me, because what Fletcher Loyer does in big games leads me to believe that he's going to continue to do that in big games. So, look, Purdue is a second weekend team competing for a Final Four spot, but I just don't know if they have the athleticism or the shot making in important spots from a guy like Fletcher Loyer.
Yep, totally agree. So what was going to be your initial point about college basketball?
Well,
Got about 5 minutes.
I was going to start. We have, we can jump into IU for a couple minutes, but what are your thoughts on what Miami of Ohio has done, being 25-0, and the first time being ranked since 1999 when
Wally Zerbiak, baby.
Damon Frierson and Rob Mears were running Millette Hall, and little Josh Lee was going to Miami of Ohio basketball camp.
Yeah. You know what? I actually turned them on last night for the first time. It's pretty impressive. And, it's something that used to be more common, where you would get a team out of the MAC that was going to create some national headlines and make waves. But it doesn't happen nearly as often in present day, because what happens to those kids? They have one successful season and they're jumping to a Power 4 school. And so you look at it, and don't you know the head coach there?
Yeah, so Travis Steele was at Indiana when I was there. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So, and he's had runs at Xavier, and I think he's an awesome dude. He's doing a great job. He's an Indiana kid. Grew up in I think Danville, Indiana. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's awesome what they're doing, 25-0. I mean, maybe they haven't played the greatest schedule, but they can only play who's on their schedule.
And it'll be interesting to see how the selection committee treats a team like that. Let's say they go into the tournament undefeated. They make it all the way through the rest of the conference schedule. They run through the MAC tournament, so they go into March Madness undefeated. At that point, they're going to be – what do you think their ceiling is as far as a ranking goes? They're going to be like 16, 17, 18?
If they're an at-large?
No. Because if they win out, they'll be their conference title. Yeah, let's say they end the season
16 or 17.
Okay, so what does the number 16 or 17 team in the nation that's undefeated but is out of the MAC? Where do they get seeded?
Man, 7th.
I was going to say I was saying tops 6, probably 7, and then you play in the 7-10 spot, and you play the 9th team out of the SEC and get beat.
I mean, you legitimately could have Miami of Ohio as a 7 and like Indiana as a 10.
That'd be spicy.
That could be a game. Here's a crazy little thing. Miami of Ohio is 25-0, led by Travis Steele. Second in the MAC at 20-5 are the Akron Zips, coached by Travis Steele's brother, John Gross. How crazy is that? They're 45-5 combined on the year, first and second in the MAC. Who wouldn't love to see Travis Steele versus John Gross in the MAC championship finals of the conference tournament, with Miami of Ohio undefeated?
And no, I was just going to say, what's funny about that? Here you've got Travis Steele, who is undefeated, got his team ranked for the first time in, 20-some-odd years.
Yeah.
But then when you start looking at these jobs that are already available, that are most likely going to be available, I have seen John Gross's name mentioned 4 or 5 different times to get a chance to move back to a Power 4 job, which he had when he was at Illinois. Haven't seen Travis Steele mentioned one time. Not once. So it's kind of like that NFL coaching carousel. Let's just keep recycling these dudes. And look, I've always been a John Gross fan. This is going all the way back to when he was an assistant at Xavier, and Xavier was coming to Greensburg to recruit Robert Barker. I met him then and thought, phenomenal dude, and kind of kept track of him and followed his coaching career, thought he's done a great job. So it's not something like that. I just find that interesting. At least right now, as the season stands, you don't see Travis Steele's name thrown out there for moving to a bigger job.
No, and Travis Steele had a job at Xavier. He was at Xavier for 4 years. Look at what Xavier is right now. And he got fired after going 19-13, being ranked in the top 25. He was 13-8 the year before that, COVID. 19-13, 19-16. So I know what we think of Xavier, but still above 500. He was 70-50 at Xavier. They're not sniffing 70-50 over 4 years, the last 4 years. So, and now they went all the way back down to Richard Pitino as their head coach at Xavier. So. Yeah, I hope he gets another opportunity. Hopefully he stays in the Midwest. He's a Butler alum, so maybe if Thad decides to step down, he goes to Butler. But
this is a topic for next week, but keep this in the back burner. Is Butler the most overrated job in college basketball right now?
Don't get Dan Dockich started because he might go 2 hours on Butler and how overrated they are. So we'll talk about that next week and hopefully a couple IU wins.
Sounds good. All right. Beyond the Game brought to you by Batesville Chrysler Dodge Jeep, Gillenhow Funeral Home, Acre Automotive, Decatur County Recycling, Walters Tire, Hamilton's Heavy Law Office, and Buy Right Auto. For Ryan Higginbotham and Josh Lee, this is Jason Simpson. We'll see y'all next week.